Do older dual sports still matter in today's modern world of riding? Let's find out. This entire category of motorcycles should have disappeared years ago. They're air-cooled, carbureted, barely changed in over 3 decades. And somehow, people still keep choosing them. After spending time on bikes like this, I don't think the reason has much to do with horsepower, but more to do with reliability. For now, let's get into it. First thing is the cooling system. There isn't one, at least not in the traditional sense that most bikes have it. There's no radiator, no messy coolant, no hoses, no fan. It's just air cooled, which means there's less going on every time the bike is running. You see, on a liquid cooled bike, you've got more parts doing more work. And most of the time, that's fine. But it's still something you're having to constantly rely on. With bikes like this, you don't have to worry about that as much. You can sit in traffic, you can ride it hard, you can take it off-road and beat it up. And the good thing is, it just runs and keeps running. And to me, that kind of simplicity matters way more than all the bells and whistles on the newer bikes. Second thing is the carburetor. And yeah, this is a love or hate relationship. People either like it or they don't. A lot of these older type of bikes aren't fuel injected, so the cold starts take a little more effort. You've got to use the choke and you have to let it warm up. The other thing is, if you're riding at different elevations, it's not always perfect, and a lot of the times you have to have the bike specifically tuned to the area that you're riding in. But you see, that's the trade-off. But the upside is this. It's simple. There's no fuel pump, no injector spraying fuel, no sensors adjusting things constantly. You see, when something feels off on the bike, it's usually something basic. Fuel, air, mixture, and idle. That's it. You're not having to plug anything in, you're not having to guess what some other system is doing in the background. For me, the beauty about these types of bikes is you're adjusting something you can actually see, understand, and put your hands on. And with time on the road and miles on the bike, that makes the overall motorcycle feel a lot more predictable. Another big one is the suspension. You see, this bike right here has a long travel suspension, and it's not just for the off-road riding. It matters more on normal roads than most people expect. Potholes, uneven pavement, dips, broken sections of road. Stuff you hit every single time you go out for a ride. You see, on a street bike, you're going to feel all of that. You race for it, you slow down, you pick your line around it. But with this, you don't have to do that as much. The suspension does an excellent job at absorbing it. The bike stays stable, and you're not getting bounced around every time the surface changes. So, instead of constantly reacting to the road, you just keep moving through it. And honestly, that changes how relaxed the ride feels, especially when you're putting hours on the road. And this, for me, is where it flips big time. You realize the bike is doing something most modern motorcycles stopped prioritizing a long time ago. You think all the missing stuff is going to bother you. You think you're going to notice what it doesn't have every single time you go out for a ride. But honestly, you don't even notice it. Because once you start actually moving, none of that stuff seems to matter much. You're not adjusting anything. You're not thinking about the settings. You're just riding. That's where old bikes like this start to separate themselves from the rest of the pack. The wheel setup plays into that too. You have a 21-inch front and an 18-inch rear. And that front wheel especially makes a big difference. It rolls over things instead of hitting them directly. Gravel, ruts, uneven terrain. Instead of deflecting or getting pushed around, bikes like this stay more stable and track straighter. You're not correcting as much through the bars. On pavement, yeah, it's not as sharp. It doesn't turn as quickly. It doesn't feel as planted in the corners. And I'll be honest, you do notice that. But once the surface isn't perfect, the advantage shifts in a major way. And that's where old school dual sports like this make the most sense. The Honda XR650L is also on the taller end of the spectrum for dual sports. With the 37-inch seat height, you feel that right away. It's not the easiest thing to flat foot, especially if you're not used to it. But that height changes how you ride. You sit higher, you can see over traffic more easily. And you've got more room to move around on the bike itself. So when the road gets rough or turns into dirt, standing up isn't awkward. In fact, I'd say it feels more natural. The bike is even built for it. Your body isn't locked into one certain position, and that gives you more control when things aren't smooth. It's not something you really think about at first, but it makes a huge difference the longer you ride on it. With a higher seat height comes better ground clearance, allowing you to get over obstacles with ease. There's almost no electronics on this bike. No traction control, no crazy ride modes, no settings to adjust. What you do with the throttle and the brakes, that's exactly what the bike does. There's no delay, no intervention, no system stepping in to take over. Now that can be a downside in certain situations, but it also means the bike is consistent. You always know how it's going to respond, and that kind of predictability builds confidence over time, because nothing is changing behind the scenes. In my opinion, old school dual sports such as these actually rewards the rider's experience. Now, where these types of bikes really stand out is when the ride doesn't go the way you planned on it to. You take a turn, the pavement turns into gravel, the road gets rough, or it just stops being ideal. You see, on other bikes, that's where you start thinking, do I slow down, or do I turn around? Or do I have to make adjustments to something else? But you see, on this, you don't have to take those things into consideration. You just keep going. That ability to handle whatever shows up without needing anything from you, that's where these types of bikes actually win and outperform a lot of the modern bikes on today's market. That's probably why bikes like this still matter today. Not because they're the fastest, not because they're the most advanced, but because they still do exactly what people actually need them to do. They're reliable, low maintenance, they go anywhere, and they keep reminding you that riding doesn't have to be complicated to feel good. So I'm curious, what old school dual sport do you still think holds up today? Let me know in the comments below what bike you still think gets it right and why. And if you're into this kind of riding and gear setup philosophy, make sure and check out this video where I break down the actual loadout and equipment I carry on the XR650L for long rides in remote areas. As always guys, take care, ride safe, and I'll see you on the next one.